Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are in another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Hard to believe I've done that 309 times, just about.
Well, you know what? Personally, I believe it.
Yeah, you've been here. The name of today's episode, Peter, is...
Prioritizing rookie activity to make more deals and retire. That's all I get on my screen. Keep going.
Retire early.
Early.
So
Too late.
Prioritizing rookie activity to make more deals and retire early.
Okay.
So here's the description. Get my throat clear here. Sorry about that. As the saying goes, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Although this is cliché and more annoying than helpful, it is true. How does someone like me do deals part-time while running two other businesses, much like a rookie having a job? A better question is, if we can't create more time out of thin air, how can we easily get more efficient? Which brings us to today's podcast. Why prioritize your tasks? I'm giving that to you again. Why prioritizing your tasks is the only way out of the trap to freedom. Knowing what you should be working on and when you should be doing it will only increase your production, your results, and your morale. So you keep that burning passion you started with. By listening to this one episode, you will soon realize it is not the work you are doing, but instead how you prioritize the activity so it acts like a snowball rolling downhill, getting bigger and bigger as it goes. Like Confucius says, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Today, we will clarify how even the longest and most confused journeys have a starting point.
That sounds good. I'm actually interested in that one. That sounds good.
Good. So I am going to, about 3/4 of the way through this podcast, I'm going to talk about deal structuring. And I don't mean like doing deal structuring. I'm going to talk about a concept that we use so that I think anybody can do deal structuring. You don't need to be me with a lot of experience. But to help the listeners easily do it the way I do it, I put a special document in the description with a link. So if you click on the link, it'll take you to that document. Okay, so in the comments section or wherever you're listening to us or watching us, in the description section of a podcast, or if it's on YouTube in the comment section, there's a link there. Just click on the link and you'll get that document for free. There's no charge for it. Also, make sure that you subscribe to us, you like us, and if you have any questions about anything, you could go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, and top right hand side there's a support ticket there. I answer all those tickets myself personally every single day, sometimes twice a day. And lastly, if you want to be part of the podcast, 9:30ish, about 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on Thursday mornings, we actually record this and live stream it to Facebook, to YouTube, and to Twitter. So you can go on any one of those platforms, type in Flipping Houses for Rookies, and you can type in your questions as we're speaking. I only refer to questions on the topic we're talking about. So if we're talking about, owner financing, I'm not going to answer questions about lease options type of stuff.
Yep.
because
Yep.
we get too sidetracked. We only have so much time here. Okay?
Sounds right.
Woo! I always hate that part of the podcast. We've got to go through that, though. And
You know what? Maybe you can record it and push a button.
make
Splice it in.
Make
Edit
it part. Make it part of the intro.
Yeah. Yeah. Edit. I'll put some more music in. Sure. Emma will do that for you.
All right, Pete. So today, I hope to clarify for our listeners what is worth prioritizing. This is a little bit hard for me to do to like make it sound simple, but I think I did a good job. But you'll tell me at the end of the podcast whether I did a good job or not.
I'll tell you as you're going.
So we need to figure out what's worth prioritizing, but more important, and listen to this, more important, what is not.
Oh, yeah.
That's the hardest part. I'm going to tell you, just as a side note, the biggest disease that every one of our rookies have, including you and me, and I'm not even a rookie, is mediocrity. Did I say it right? Being mediocre.
Oh, yeah.
Mediocrity. Being mediocre. Accepting the average.
Ooh.
Being middle class.
Uh-huh.
Right? That's our biggest problem. But we aren't going to go there today because I could go without even a script the rest of this podcast just talking about being mediocre and just accepting less than what we're capable of.
Okay. I mean, kind of like going along with the crowd.
Yeah, herd
Like
mentality.
as long as you fit in, you don't stand out, so nobody can point a finger if there's anything wrong with you. You're in the crowd with the sheep, so nothing wrong with me.
Yeah, and that opens the door to fear and, victim and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah,
So,
leaving the herd. No, there's a lot of grass over there. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a wolf. Should I go get it? Nah, I'll stay here.
so believe it or not, there are only a few things truly important in a deal. And that is probably revolutionary to some listeners because they think everything in the deal is important.
Yeah, it can look.
Right.
It can look like where do you start, or everything you learn, you have to do everything.
Right.
You learn so many things, like you have to do all of it. Well, you can't.
Right.
So priority. So what do you got?
So the funny thing is most people think that they need to know the majority when they don't. Right? You don't need to know that. So believe it or not, there are only a few things truly important in a deal, and if you laser focus on those things, you'll be amazed at how much you can get done with so little effort. Remember the 80-20 rule, where 80% of your income comes from 20% of what you did? What? What are you laughing at me for?
Well, I just have very bad ideas when you say things like that. It's like, so I'm only going to work 2 hours a day now.
Yeah.
But it has to be the right 2 hours, and I'm not sure I know that, so I wind up working 8 or 10.
No. It's not a matter of working 2 hours a day. It's a matter of if you've got 10 activities, 2 of them are going to really count. The rest of them are just kind of going along for the ride.
Well,
It's
I'd
not
like
even
to skip
time.
those,
It's
but
not
I
even
get
time.
you can't even skip those. You got to do the dumb stuff. Okay, go ahead.
Today we're going to concentrate on the 20% and get it prioritized.
That makes sense.
And if we were in a seminar room right now, I would have everyone write down what they think is important or what they want to accomplish. Then rank the list by urgency. So let's start with that. Urgency.
Sure.
Let's define urgency first, which urgency actually comes from the word urgent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the definition is it is something that requires attention or action, like right now.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things that you can add on to that, so you don't have loss, so you don't have an accident, so you don't have this, so you don't have that, right?
Well, something bad.
Yeah. So, like, an example would be like if you break a leg, you will need urgent attention from a doctor to receive help from the pain.
Sure.
Or to get it fixed, right? So urgency does one thing that most people don't talk about, Peter. And I'm not going to dwell on this because I could go on for 20 minutes about this as well, and I won't. Urgency puts people in present time.
Oh, yeah. It snaps you to attention. Focus. Yeah, I've seen it.
It's like that 100-pound woman that has a baby under a car and lifts the car up.
You hear stories like that, yeah.
Right? Urgency does that.
Yeah.
Okay? So number one, and I haven't really numbered these, but see, the number one priority is to have urgency if you truly plan to make real estate your sole source of income. Right? Quit your job. This is one action that will raise your necessity level to make sure you do things that get deals and money.
Mm-hmm.
That's urgency, right? Especially if you have no savings. If you've got a month's worth of savings or 2 months worth of savings.
Mm-hmm.
And I stop taking coaching clients like that. If they tell me they quit their job and they're just going to do this full time, I ask them how much reserve they have. And if it's 2 or 3 months, I don't take them.
No, no one advises that. Mm-hmm. Nobody that we've ever spoken to suggests doing that at all.
So this is a balancing act, what I'm going to talk about right now, because we don't want neediness.
That's what I was thinking. If you get that urgent, now you're going to be needy, and then you won't get deals, right?
Right. So you have to want it, not need it. There's a difference. There's a very different clarification between the two.
Yeah.
You'll want it is, I wonder how I'm going to get $10,000 by the end of the month. And then play a game with yourself like, I wonder how it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. I wonder how it's going to happen.
Yep.
Neediness is you have to have it. So it's must-haves. You must have this and you must have that as a neediness.
Yeah.
Right? and I could tell you right now, one of Mother Nature's laws is you become what you resist. So if you resist not having 10 grand by the end of the month, then that's what you become, not having 10 grand.
That's all you think about.
Right. So if you quit your job, this is one action that you'll raise your necessity level to make sure you do things and get deals and money. Now, I actually don't think, like we just talked about, you should cut off your income to do real estate. But you should make your mind have this same urgency so you don't give yourself a chance to believe the excuses you are now accepting as plausible because there are no emergencies at hand. Right? So one of the ways that you could do this is setting deadlines. That's how we do it, right? You have to have battle plans, and well, first of all, one of the most misused tool is a to-do list or a battle plan. A battle plan is like it's a slang for like a strategy. It's the lesser of a strategy. So the to-do list work only if there's a strategic plan, a bigger, broader plan that you're aligning the to-do list to. So what you and I do, not as much as we should, is we write these programs with all the things that we want to do over the next 3 months. And I never go more than 3 months because my attention span can't do that. I don't do yearly. I don't do.
I wouldn't want it to go that long because you drag it out. 3 months and get it done. Move it along. Yeah.
So like right now we're working on a program, right? So the idea of the program is that you have steps, sections that have to be done. Like go to the town hall and get a grand list. And then, and then separate the grand list. And then, get it to the yellow letter later. Whatever. There's steps, right? And then your to-do list aligned to those steps, to that program. Right?
Right.
So the program gets done because what will happen is in 2 weeks from now you won't remember the program, so your to-do list should reflect the bigger goals, right? So that's a whole other subject. But my point is if you don't set deadlines for these, hard, real deadlines, and play them for blood. Like, just believe they're going to happen. You don't even have to do anything more than that. You just know it's going to happen. Right? That'll create urgency. Right? So basically, here's what happens. Everything has a start, a change, and a stop. That's a cycle of action, right? So you're going to start something, you're going to do something about it, and then it's going to stop. So right here, right now, you're making the decision to start. The deadline is the stop. And then everything in between is what you have to do to get from start to stop.
Yep.
Right? So if that's not clarified, and we talked about that in episode number 308, visualizing it and all that stuff. I know I've been getting a little profound lately, but this is how it works. Only because this time of the year I struggle with this stuff myself personally. So this is the kind of stuff I'm going through. I keep chanting to myself and talking to myself because for whatever reason I get into July and I don't know what happens. I get short-circuited. I start invalidating myself, and money always gets tight this time of the year. I don't know why. I'm creating it, and I'm trying to outcreate it at this point. It's happening because I'm allowing it to happen, because I think it keeps happening. That's why it keeps happening, right? So I decided this year that I'm not going to do that. And so far, I'm getting there. So,
okay, good luck.
Yeah, I don't need luck. I need a little slapping around.
Well.
Anyways, you have to realize that completely on a personal note, I used to own a gas station with a car lot.
Yeah.
And 4th of July, in fact, my wife and I, it was a stupid thing I did because my wife and I got married on the 3rd of July. Right? And I did that because I could always take 4th of July off because that was always slow in the dealership. So I knew I could go away without having to fight everybody. What I didn't realize is that when I got rid of the dealership, it's the most expensive freaking week to go away all year. And we never go away because it's like we can't find a place to go, or we got to pay 3 times what we paid for the rest of the year. So
holidays, not too good.
And a friend of ours is having a picnic on Sunday, 4th of July this year, and I told her about it yesterday, and man, did I get a rash of shit. Oh, that's our anniversary. I'm like, where did this come from?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't position that one too well, huh?
I
found a great thing to do for our anniversary. All our friends will be there. They're throwing us a cookout, and you slip in a cake.
So to be truthful, Peter, I didn't do any discovery. Okay, so there you go. Didn't ask her what she wanted to do. All right, we're wasting time. All right, so the next priority, which we'll call priority 2. So I want to make sure that I get that. That's like the simplest priority is urgency.
Yeah.
Urgency. Whether it's mocked up, mocked up means you imagine it, or if it's real, it doesn't matter because urgency gets things done.
One thing I do to try to push myself on that, people have a problem of making sure they make enough money to get by. But they don't always go past that. They get by, and we're all guilty of that a lot because you have to push yourself to go past that. If you don't get that, you die, you starve. So if I need $6,000 a month to live, and that would be okay, I say to myself, no, I got to get 10. I'll have plenty of reasons why, and you can think of all kinds of things you could do with $4,000 more a month or whatever the number is. But I try to go past that, and say I need to make that target, and even though I don't really, but that's the game I play. So it's beyond what I need.
Yeah. So Grant Cardone has a great book on that. It's called the 10X Rule.
Sitting on my coffee table in front of my wife.
Yeah. So, but the interesting thing that you should say there is that your financial plan should not be just what you want. I'll tell you what. I'm way off topic, and I don't want to talk about this because I know I keep saying that we could talk all day about this, but I was reading something not too long ago, which is why I'm struggling with myself right now. And it was one sentence.
Ooh.
Yeah. And it kicked the living shit out of me for days. Days.
Eek.
Said if your business is not expanding, it's dead. You're not in business.
I caught that a few weeks ago somewhere. I don't even remember where I caught it. Probably the same place you did. And it's like, oh, God.
Yep. If your business is not expanding, you don't have a business.
Yeah.
Because you're either expanding or contracting, and contracting means you don't have a business.
Yeah. Not for long.
Yeah. So if your
A little
business
scary,
is not
but
expanding,
it gives you.
or if you're
Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, sorry, there's a lag here. So
Yeah.
if your life is not expanding, then when you're doing your financial planning, you need to put expansion in there. You need reserves. You need to put in there a house fund. If you want to buy a new house for your family, put a house fund in there. Put away so much money every week to buy a house, a building fund, or something like that. All right.
I just heard the old put 10% of your income away for investing.
Yep.
That old one. Like, well, I can't afford it. Well, then don't buy as much stuff. Don't live in a smaller house. Don't overdo it.
Yep.
Don't buy the bigger car. Get the smaller car, whatever it is. But then you have somewhere to go.
Good. So next priority, we're calling it number 2, is the simple steps you need to do in every deal, or any business for that fact.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Ron LeGrand stated these in his book, so I want to give him credit for it. I'm not 100% sure, but I just remember that. So 1 is locate prospects. I don't care what kind of business that you're in, you need to have somebody come into the table with a wallet.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Kind of helps, doesn't it?
Yeah. Then you need to pre-screen those prospects, which is a whole conversation within itself, because what is pre-screening meaning? Are they qualified? And that doesn't mean in sales, that means financially. Are they qualified to buy your product? Mm-hmm. But I disagree with that, because are they mentally qualified to buy your product? Do they see the value in your product? Do they see the value in you? Do they see the value in what they're paying for? Is it important to them? Does it align with their goals? Does it align with their mission? Does it align with their satisfaction?
Yeah.
Right? I have a new saying, which I haven't told you yet. I've talked about it a couple times on the live coaching calls. It's called satisfaction squared.
Wow.
That means that the other person has to be satisfied and you have to be satisfied before you move forward. It's called satisfaction squared, right?
That's cool. Yeah.
So 1 is locate prospects, 2 is pre-screen the prospects, 3 is construct and present offers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this could be as simple as my wife and I want to go out for dinner. Like, locate the prospects. Okay, we can go to a steak restaurant, we can go to an Italian restaurant, or we can go to the Chinese restaurant.
Right.
Right? And then pre-screen. So which one do you think we can go to, sweetheart? Which one would you feel like?
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have the Chinese restaurant. Okay, now I need to construct and present the offer. So should we go to this Chinese restaurant, or that Chinese restaurant, or this one? If we go here, we can stop at your sister's. If we go there, we can stop at the grocery store. If we go over here, we'll just go to the movies when we're done. Right? That's presenting the offer. It's very in layman's language, but this happens with everything. That's the point that I'm trying to make. So number 4, you then need to deliver what was promised, what was needed or promised.
Right.
Right? Or follow up if it doesn't happen.
Oh, well, yeah.
Right? So number 3 is construct and present offers, and then number 4, you need to deliver it. Or if it doesn't get delivered or something happens, which is nowadays in our deals, a lot of deals get to paperwork and they fall apart. It's just the way the economy is right now.
Yeah.
You need to make sure you have a good follow-up to keep them in the system.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And number 5 is to sell quickly once the property has been acquired.
Right.
Okay? Because truth of the matter is, if you want to focus on anything, and you want to reverse engineer it for those engineers out there, you get paid, for the most part, from the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
We do not get any money until we have purchased, until we've done these things.
Right.
Which, a point that I want to make that you made a long time ago is, so I'm going to read through these again, then I'm going to make my point, okay? So 1, locate prospects. 2, pre-screen those prospects. 3, construct and present offers. 4, deliver what was promised, or follow up if the deal blows up. And number 5, sell quickly once the property has been acquired.
Yep.
Okay, so this works for acquisitions and it works for selling.
Right, because I know people use that if they have a business,
Right.
but that's just usually selling things. In our business, we have to buy something and then sell it. It's not just we go pick up material somewhere. You have to actually go buy and sell. So that makes sense that you do it coming and going.
So being a little bit splitting hairs here, so when I say sell quickly once the property has been acquired, it really shouldn't be, it should just be sell quickly. Because what should happen is once you get the seller to agree to your subject to deal, you need to sell it quickly and you need to close.
Yeah.
That's really what should happen. I should really change that to close quickly.
Oh, yeah. Like purchase from the buyer. I'm sorry, purchase from the seller.
Yeah. And then when you reverse it, it would be sell quickly, right?
Yeah, and then do that for the find your buyer.
Right. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this list. I had done that on another podcast. But if you break down your business, it'll be these 5 steps. So what do you prioritize? These 5 steps.
Yeah.
So first we have urgency. Now we have these 5 steps, right? Mm-hmm. What I am going to say is like a fulcrum on a seesaw. That's the triangle that the seesaw sits on, right? So in the middle, there's something holding the board so it can go tip one way or tip the other way, right?
Right.
I don't know how I got this picture in my head, but if you're looking at that and the fulcrum is in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I just got distracted. Look who's this. Mr. Fusco's with us this morning. Good morning, Mr.
Hey,
Fusco.
would you take the day off?
So if you're looking at the seesaw, the fulcrum is in the middle, and then there's a left seat on the seesaw, and then there's a right seat on the seesaw, right? Mm-hmm. And picture 2 people on either side, right? And depending on the weight on the left or the weight on the right is how the seesaw tips, right? Obviously, the heavier one goes down, the lighter one goes up. But just to keep that visual for a second, okay? So here's what happens. The fulcrum in the middle is the offer.
Yeah.
It holds the whole thing together, right? So if no offers are being made, you look at the left side where they're coming from, if it was to travel left to right. If you look at the left side and there's no offers being made, that means the lead source is not there. There's a problem with the lead source.
Right.
Right? And if you, which means now you got to look, let me catch up to my notes here. If you look at the right side, and so you have leads coming in and offers are being made, and you're not closing on properties, then that means the way you're presenting your offers or giving your offers or writing up your offers is incorrect. Mm. So if you just look at the flow from left to right, it's leads, offer, deal meeting type of thing, which is how we do it. We do texting, opening call, closing call, deal meeting, right? It's that flow. That's where the flow came from. But the point is if you're not making offers, then you need to prioritize the lead machine.
Right.
Right? and that, believe it or not, people will go on years trying to figure that out. It's just as simple as just go on Facebook and just text somebody, will you sell your house for, will you sell me your house? What is it? I'm losing my train of thought here. Would you rent me the house for a year or 2 and then sell it to me?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just as simple as that. I'm not saying that this will make you $1 million, but it'll get you talking to sellers. Mm-hmm. It'll get you leads. It'll get you working so you can make offers. Right? So, if you, like I said, if you have little offers, then it's a problem with the leads. Now, let me just do this. I can tell you, I'm going through this right now. Lots of offers, little closings. Mm-hmm. Right? And after much inspection, listening to calls, looking at offers, I have finally figured out, and I think this is important to our rookies. If you don't locate the seller's problem ASAP, you will start throwing offers at him, like throwing bait in the water to see what the fish will eat. But in fact, this fishing expedition will only confuse sellers with too much info they don't understand, and they freeze. So what I'm saying is that I'm listening to my guys, and what's happening is they're not finding the problem. You know, it's kind of like this myth out there, or this, I don't even know what to call it. There's this whole think out there that you provide solutions. That's called a consultative sale. You know, you're consulting the person, find out what their problem is, and then your product is supposed to give them a solution. Okay, well, if you look, and we did a podcast on this, if you look at how your mind works, it's problem first, solution second.
Sure.
Right? So what I'm finding is that because of the environment and the cash offers that people want, we are not finding the problem. The thing ruining them, the thing that's upsetting them, the pain, the motivation factor. So what we're doing is we're trying to entertain them with price.
Yep.
What if I give you $300,000 for a $250,000 house? Right? Like our deal with Joe, that's our problem. We don't have the problem.
Yeah.
We don't have a ruin. We don't have what's motivating him. We don't have that. There is no pressure with him. He doesn't have to sell.
Right.
So in the last 2 years, there's a market full of, I don't have to sell. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to be Hollywood and entertain people. And so we keep throwing these offers. So what I have found is that with my guys, they're throwing offer after offer after offer, and which you can do, but there's a specific way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I've been doing these live calls, these live coaching calls, which if this week I opened it up to everybody. So if you're in my WhatsApp, Let's Talk Real Estate, I've allowed you to be on the calls this week. So which I think is amazing for whoever's there, because what that means is as I go on, like last night, Sean and I were on, he's just giving me leads and I'm just calling people and talking to them. Right? I don't know how much more better training I can give them that. Right? Just
that kind of stuff you only get usually in mastermind groups that cost like $50,000. So let me ask you to be clear. And I totally understand what you're saying, and I'm perceiving the same thing. Are you saying we're failing to find the ruin of people, or it's harder because it isn't that ruinous to them right now because money is solving their problems? Because I've been trying to find problems, and they don't seem to be there as much, at least the people I'm finding. So are we failing to do it, or is it just harder in this economy to find it?
Okay, so that's a big question.
Yeah.
So here is what I see in my head, and this is way off topic, and I hope our listeners are okay with this.
Yeah, well, this stuff we usually talk to together, but we haven't talked in a few days, and here we are. So we've been going over this, and like trying to debug this. So I want to see where your head is at today.
Shemus is right. It's the urgency.
Yeah.
So here's what happened. We were buying houses, a lot of houses. And what we were doing was we were using, all my life I've used an out-of-area owner list. That's my number one source of getting deals, because when you have, what that means is the tax bill is being mailed to a different location than the property. So it could be across the street, but it's a different address. Okay, so we've always been good at that, right? Then we shifted into doing for sale by owners. So the main lead we were getting, this is before the pandemic. So what happened was we were doing mail with out of area owners, and we were doing phone calls with for sale by owners with scripts and VAs, virtual assistants, and all that stuff. COVID came, March of 2020. and I went from having about 150 or 180 for sale by owners per week for my VAs to call to 25.
That's right. They weren't selling; they were staying home.
We stumbled around for a couple months, and we were one of the beginning, behind the scenes. We were one of the, I wouldn't say, I don't know if I call them beginning, but I know that we were doing it before it became popular. Mm-hmm. So what we did is we leaned heavily on the for sale by owner list. I'm sorry. The out of area owner. So that also includes landlords. So what we started doing is we started skip tracing those leads, and we started calling them and texting them and then calling them. And we did that for a year, maybe a year and a half. Then it became extremely popular. Mm-hmm. It's because it was for a year or a year and a half, it was really the only way. It was either that or because there was no foreclosure because the government stopped it. Right?
That's right.
So there was no foreclosure. There was no urgency because people were getting $600 a week if they lost their job.
Yeah.
Even if it was not due to COVID, they lost their job. So it changed the dynamic.
Yep.
So now what happens is it's a couple of years later, and all of those moves have been played hard by everybody. So now what happens, like even the call I was on yesterday, the seller tells me, well, I get multiple calls like this all the time about wanting to sell the house. And I ask him point blank, how many offers have you gotten? Well, they all tell me they're going to give me an offer, but I haven't gotten any.
Yeah.
Right? So to your point about urgency, is they felt like they didn't have urgency because all they needed to do was just flip the switch, and within 24 hours they'll have 3 offers over asking price. Mm-hmm. So that's been in the last year, probably more like the last 6 or 8 months. Well, actually, the last 2 or 3 months has changed. But the point is for about a year, that's what it was like. So the urgency, right. So when you ask that question, the urgency wasn't as high. Even though there was urgency, there was a lot of solutions. We'll just give you cash. Mm-hmm. So hopefully I answered that question. I kind of diverted big time there, but...
Mm-hmm. No, that was a real good walk down history lane right in our faces. And sometimes, right. And you don't see it right away when you're in it, but that's why we try to use formulas and things to just look at it and determine sooner than later what's really happening. So, being on the phone, you're hearing it. I'm on the phone. Hearing it.
I'm on the phone 3 or 4 times a week, and I do it with people watching me all the time. So,
yeah.
So I'm pronouncing right now, totally off script. I'm pronouncing right now that we're going back to the usual, mm-hmm. because things are starting to happen.
Yeah.
Right? The days on market are getting longer. So house, with inflation, and mortgage rates going up, I'm talking to more and more people about creative real estate.
Yep.
Right? It used to be if I made 10 phone calls, I would talk to one, maybe 2 people about creative. Just talk to them about it.
Yeah.
Now it's probably 7 or 8 mm-hmm. that want to talk about it. So those are live statistics that I go through every day. So now is the time. Now is the time to make sure, and I know that everybody says that it's a cliche, but honestly, understanding creative. I'm going to tell you, if you want to be a millionaire in real estate, and I don't mean 1 million, I'm talking $5 or $10 million. If you want to do that, subject to, baby. Taking over mortgages. Taking over mortgage for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Multiple reasons, which we talked about in the podcast. All right. So so we talked about that. So what I'm noticing is that my guys are on the phone and they're not finding the problem, which we have been having trouble with that, but it's coming back now. So I'm pronouncing we need to go back to the usual and mm-hmm. work on the problem, because mm-hmm. there are problems there. Right? Before, the problems were being masked by the cash offers. But now the cash offers are not so easy to do. Right? So what I'm saying is we need to go back to finding the problem. All right? Now, I'm going to teach you right now, we're talking about prioritizing. Now this is how you take everything that I just talked about and what you prioritize. This is how you take this section and prioritize. So first we had urgency. Second, we had the 5 steps of a business, right? And then now I'm going to tell you how to do the 3rd step.
Okay.
And I've been preaching this now for a few months, and I'm telling you this is strong shit. And the more I preach it, and the more people use it, the better it works. There's only 4 things you need to know from a seller. The lowest selling price, the best payment, the longest duration of the payment, and down payment if they talk about it.
Yep.
If you prioritized your whole system on how many of those 4 facts you can get from as many sellers as possible, you don't need to know anything else. You don't need to know how to do deal structuring, none of that. I'm going to show you that in a minute. Right? So let's take the strategy stuff, how to run your business and the urgency. That's like strategy. That's like mindset stuff.
That's how you set up the business to get going. Right. But then you wind up on the phone, and what do?
So now we're down into the trenches.
Customer walks in the door. What do you do?
So, excuse me, if you listen to all my phone calls, I follow my own rules. So what do? I start with how much are you asking? Is that the best you can do? Right? These are the 4 facts you need to do in every deal. And your priority with a seller is to get these as soon as possible. One at a time. And don't move from the price to the payment until you're confident all the yeses and nos are completed.
Yeah, they're not just saying yeah. It's really, really yes, right?
And you know why the seller is giving you the answer.
Yeah.
So if the seller says, I'm willing to sell for $230,000, and you're looking at the thing and it says it's worth $200,000, and you say, is that the best you can do? Yeah, that's the best I can do. Okay, how did you come up with that number? So you don't just ask the lowest price. You don't just ask the price. You ask, why is that the price? Well, because I owe $200, or because I need $200 to pay off my daughter's graduation, college, whatever.
Yeah.
Why the two? Why it could be because I want to buy another house. That's a big one, right? So, the price and then why. Okay, and you don't need to be. You just need to be a little bit of a detective. You don't need to be like a genius to do this. Okay, this could be your first deal, and it works just as good if it was your 100th.
Yeah.
Right? Now, here's the interesting thing: is the payment. So the payment could be your bank loan.
The mortgage.
It could be you went and got a bank loan. Right? And you're trying to figure out how you could sell this thing. Right? I could tell you right now, I've written checks for $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 for private money at 9% interest. Do I need to take a look at that payment? Yeah, because that cut into my profit.
Yeah.
Right? So my private loans, I don't pay them monthly, I pay them at the end. And I had a hot property one time, it was in Plainville. I had it for 12 months. It was a total bullshit mistake on my part because I just wasn't paying attention to it, doing everything else but, because I didn't have urgency, right? And I think it cost me $18,000 in interest. I had a $50,000 deal. I think I walked away with $5,000 when I was done.
Yeah.
Right? So everything's urgent. I mean, watch Flipping Houses Vegas. The guy with the pretty wife, right? Everything's urgent to that guy. He's hyper urgent. Everything's urgent.
Yeah.
Everything's urgent.
I can't watch him. He's annoying.
I don't watch
I think
him
he's
either.
doing it on purpose, but I don't like that model. He's just annoying.
Yeah. But that's the hype. That's the what is the hyperbole of that? It's like the other end of it. He's too much of that, right? But here's what I want to bring up. If you ask the price, and if you ask the payment, and you ask the longest duration, right, then here's what's going to happen. All the stuff is going to come out. If you stick to that model, you'll soon realize when you ask why that you're getting all the stuff.
Yeah.
You're doing the discovery by asking why. So when you say, I want $200,000 for my house, okay, how did you come up with that price? Okay, what are you going to do with the money? Okay, why now? That's a good question. You brought that one up. Why now? Right, like why did you decide to do this now?
Yeah, I would do something like, when did you decide to sell? Oh, about 2 months ago. Oh yeah, what happened?
Right.
And you put them back in time to something that happened in some real life experience, and then you find out what it was, so you can actually help them with whatever it is.
Right. So these things concentrate on the problem. These things concentrate on what's motivating the sell. Because selling a house is not like I'm going to take the dresser from my living room or from my bedroom and I'm going to put it on the front line and I'm going to on the front lawn and put free on it and then it disappears.
Exactly.
This is not a house. You can't put a for sale sign on it and just have it by the weekend have it gone. There's legal documents and closings and inspections and bank loans and there's a lot of stuff involved. So why are they dragging themselves through all that work? What is it that's on the other side of all of that that's getting? Is it need or is it greed? Right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, hang on 1 second. All right, good. So, next priority. Which brings me to priority 3. Delegate what you can. Now, I know I'm talking about it. You're not. I'm talking about it. And I'm going to tell you, before I even read what I write here, I'm going to tell you the most important thing you could do is delegate.
Yeah.
And here's the reason why. Your life is full of crap. End of story.
What kind of crap, Bill?
Oh, pick it. It could be a job. It could be a wife. It could be parents that you're taking care of. It could be you're part of a bowling club. It could be you're part of the church. You have all these things that you want to do.
Yeah.
Right? That's crap. So here's what happens, and this was what happening to you and I, which is why I'm pushing this hard, and we are going to do it, is if you don't have somebody that's in charge of your marketing, like you don't outsource your marketing, it doesn't get done every week. You'll do it for 3 or 4 weeks, 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then you'll lose track, or something else will happen. You'll want to go on vacation. You'll take your interest off of it. You'll take the urgency off of it. I'll tell you exactly what happens. I'll tell you exactly what happens because it happens all the time.
Yeah.
You're banging your marketing. Every single day you're ethical about your marketing. You do it. You do your hour or 2 hours a day, whatever you're doing. Bang, 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 bang. All of a sudden you get 1 or 2 deals and you switch from doing your marketing because you don't have enough time to do everything. So now you're into buying the property, renovating the property, and selling the property, and all the marketing stopped.
Sure. It's two different jobs.
Then you get into the end, and you make your $20,000 or your $30,000 or your $5,000 or whatever you make, and then you're like, oh, shit, what am I going to do now?
Yeah. Where's my leads?
And what is inertia? The perpetual motion is at a dead stop. So you have to start again, and it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks for it to start working again.
Yep.
So you end up with booms and depressions. You end up with a lot of money, no money, a lot of money, no money, because you don't have somebody continuously outflowing. I'd rather have you outflowing, getting too many leads when you don't want them, and sell them to somebody else and still make money than to stop the outflow. Or even just tell the sellers, no, I can't buy it right now. But keep the machine running, right? So that's a good example. So here's where the magic begins when you start asking yourself, and we did a whole podcast on this, who can help me accomplish my goals?
Yeah.
You have to ask yourself, who can help me accomplish my goals? Instead of the common question, how can I accomplish my goals? Now, we did a
Right.
whole podcast, and I think it's 249 or 243 or something like that. But and it's the book from Dan Sullivan on who, not how, right? It's a book that you can read that has all this in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to concentrate on who can help me. Like right
Yeah.
now, you're interested in the foreclosure list and the probate list, and I'm interested in who can we get to do that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because because when you find the right who, they should not know more than you, but when it comes to the details, they'll be better at it than you.
Well, they've been through it, and I'm following the system with you. And the guy says, "Boy, when I started, I used to do this. Now I do that instead. And I used to do this. I do that." He's been through it. So why reinvent wheels if somebody's been through it? That's the whole point. Why do people come to me for music lessons? I've been through it, so I can impart my years of wisdom. Blah blah blah. That's how education works.
So let's back up. We're going to start with urgency you want to start with prioritizing urgency.
Yep.
Then the 5 points of a business. Mm-hmm. Then when you're on the phone, the 4 things you need to find out, the 4 facts you need to find out. Mm-hmm. Now what we're going to do is, even though you have no money and you don't know how you're going to pay this person, you don't know what you're going to do, right? You need to find someone to do it for you. Mm-hmm. And don't think the myth is that someday you'll hire them when you get too busy. So I'll give you an example. I have a girl that sends me leads every single day, and I don't pay her anything until I buy a lead. She's actually a handicapped person that works from home, and she does this for multiple investors. And she goes on Facebook and Zillow and all these different places, and she sends me an email. And the only criteria I have with her is she needs to send me a phone number so I can call them. So I get a link of the house and a phone number to call them.
Yeah.
And when I get a house, I pay her $500.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a who.
Sure.
She sends me leads every day. I can't keep up with them. In fact, I'm going to have to call some of them tonight. I can't keep up with them.
Yep.
Right? So it's not so finding a who. So prioritizing the activities. Like, you want to prioritize the marketing, you want to prioritize making offers, and you want to prioritize selling. Right? So these are the steps in between those buckets. So the who creates results. When you ask yourself, how can I accomplish my goals? All that does is create more problems for you, because you don't know how, so now you got to go learn how. You got to spend all this time training. You got to do this, you got to do that, right? And you never get results, or a quantity of results that you want.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're trying to accomplish something challenging or difficult that you have never done before, you probably need a who. They help you show the ropes.
Yep.
Right? You can have everything, now listen to this, you can have everything you love in life as long as you give up what you hate. You can have everything you love in life as long as you give up what you hate. Okay, so is my internet all right? Because you keep chopping in and out. Is it me or is it you?
I see you chopping in and out, but I can't tell if it's me or you. Yeah. You may ask a listener, is Bill coming through okay to you folks?
Yeah. Seamus, am I chopping up, or is it okay? Let me know in the chat, okay? All right. So the next priority is called decision fatigue. Until you create until you create enough income to sustain your lifestyle, your mind is locked up. It's in a cage. You can't be creative and free and thank you, Seamus. He says he sees both of us fine. You can't be creative and free And this weighs on your decisions. And after a while, you'll get exhausted, and it'll cause you to give up early without desired success. Right? So what I'm saying is that if you're working too much on the how do I accomplish my goals, right? You're going to have decision fatigue. You're not working on the major things you need to be working on. You're working on the minor things.
You're making decisions on every bit of it. Every bit of it. Like I saw one of those cooking shows, the Save the Restaurant show, Restaurant Impossible. And there's a lady who owned the restaurant who was busy with her job. She had this other job, and she was hardly ever in the restaurant. But every time there was a decision to make, the manager had to call her like, hey, this customer didn't like his food. Do I have to charge him? Every little thing.
Yeah.
Every little thing. And it didn't drive her as crazy as the staff. But somebody got driven crazy because you can't make decisions in every part of it. You should make the major decisions and have somebody taking care of the sub-products or the steps that lead up to your big decisions.
Yeah, they call that micromanaging.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to do that because here's what happens. You'll make the wrong decisions. Right? So what you need to concentrate on as soon as possible is the closing calls and the deal meetings. Right? So you don't need to manage. You don't need to be part of every text, every opening call, every close. You don't need to do that. You just need to take a look at the notes and you verify, but you don't need to pay attention to all that. So you need to find out who can do texting for you, which, by the way, you can get a texter for $3 or $4 an hour overseas, right? You can get an opening caller. I think we pay our opening callers $6 an hour for 3 hours a day. So we pay $18 a day for a closing caller. I mean, for an opening caller. $18 a day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that does, for some people that might sound like a lot of money. It's it's less than $100 a week, but I'm getting 3 or 4 leads a day.
Yeah.
And I go in 3 times a week, and I make phone calls for an hour to 90 minutes to get my deals. But that's because my priority is those closing calls.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, this brings me to the most important part of the podcast. Retiring early. Okay. So I'm just going to keep going because I don't know if you can hear me or not. So I'm just going to keep going because there's a severe lag.
I totally heard you, but I was making no comment on the retire early thing. That's all.
Okay. Which brings me to the most important part of the podcast, retiring early. So many rookies worry about deal structuring like there are some hidden tricks or something like that. Look, here is what the priority is on every deal. So everything we talked about till now is about getting the deal in the discovery stage. We haven't talked about making an offer yet.
True.
Right? I told you the most important thing is to make an offer. So how do you make an offer? So you got your urgency, right? You got your 5 points of a business, and then you have the 4 things you need to say to a seller. Those are 3 urgent things right there. Like urgency, the 5 steps of a business, and then the 4 things you say to a seller when you're on the phone. Now you're at a point where you have to make an offer. And so many rookies worry about this, right? And you're going to say, oh, I've heard Bill say that before. Oh, I already know that. And you're going to tune out. And this is where the mistake lies. Money now, money monthly, money later. Out of everything that I could teach you, the tool that I use the most and what guides me in my entire life, the one most vital, datum that drives me on everything I do is money now, money monthly, money later. It drives me in my internet business. It drives me in my real estate business. It drives me in my coaching business.
Mm-hmm.
Money now, money monthly, money later. Here's why. Money now, which in our real estate deals is the buyer's deposit. Now, I'm tricking you there because if you do some of the deals that we do, we get money now from our private lenders.
Yeah.
So like if we need to borrow 120,000, we'll borrow 130,000 and we'll get 10 grand now.
Yeah.
So I don't want to leave that out, but I don't want to teach that right now. But money now is usually from the buyer's deposit.
Mm-hmm.
What money now does is that pays down your debt, that buys your fancy cars, that gets you nice vacations. It gives you chunks of dough to do shit with.
Yeah.
And you don't get them all the time, but if you get one every month or every other month, you get 10 grand, 5 grand, 20 grand, you get chunks of dough. You route these chunks of dough to deal with these things, like pay off a credit card, pay for your training, save some of it for your deal, right, to run your business, but the rest of it. So when you get these chunks of dough, this money now, that's what it does. Money monthly, which is the lease payment spread, the spread between what you're paying your mortgage or your seller and what your buyer's giving you.
Yep.
That pays for your lifestyle. Right? So if you need $4 grand a month, like we were talking about before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then go for $6 grand a month, not $4 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you have reserves. So if you need $4 grand, and this is why, because Murphy's Law goes in there, because there's always going to be somebody that doesn't pay, or there's going to be a problem, and you're not strapped.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the magic, Peter. Listen to me loudly right now. If you have a dozen houses paying you $500 a month,
Mm-hmm.
you're making $6 grand a month, and I guarantee you, just about everybody on this call that's listening to me could live off of $6 grand a month comfortably.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you, listen to me loudly, and I'm just talking about the lease payment. I'm not talking about the little tricks that we have, like we have a $300 a month spread, and then we bump it up to $500 because we do down payment assistance. It is not difficult to get $500 a month, and if you have somebody else telling you that that's not true, they're wrong. I
They
will
just don't know how to do it.
I prove it to them over and over and over again. $500. Most of my deals are $800 to $1,000 a month, and you see that, you know that, because of down payment assistance, right? So what I'm telling you is if you focused, if you prioritized on this program that we're talking about right now, okay, and you got rid of all the crap and just prioritized on this stuff, your goal should be 12 houses paying you $500 a month. And you could quit your job. Now, does that take you a year? Does it take you 3 months? Does that take you 5 years? And the length of time is the real estate between your ears. Mm-hmm. It's what you believe or don't believe, and it's what you're prioritizing and what you're not prioritizing. Money later. Money later is equity or your profit. Is your early retirement fund point blank? So your equity is your retirement fund. Right? Imagine 20 to 100 grand in equity on each one of those 12 houses. That adds up.
Yeah, because there's equity in the house the way they're bought. And in a couple of years, 5 years, 7 years, whatever it is, you sell the house, you get that. You had a deal on one of your emails. You talked about it in one of the podcasts. I think you had it maybe 3 years, no renovation, and it was like $54,000, something like that. So not that's people don't make that on renovations.
Yep. So here's the magic, and here's why I'm telling you. The reason why I do now, I look at money now, money monthly, money later on every deal first. All it does is it gauges how much time I'm going to spend on the deal. If it's just money now, like in a slot deal, I don't spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
If it's got all three, which I call the trifecta, in other words, the slot machine is dinging, ding, 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 or it's not like a slot deal, but it's like I hit the jackpot, then I'm going to do whatever I can. I'm going to concentrate on nothing else but that deal until I get it done.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so here's the secret to deal structuring. Find the seller's problem before you're thinking of talking about the solution. We talked about that already.
Mm-hmm.
Get the 4 major facts: the price that they want, that they're willing to sell for, a payment. By the way, if they don't want to do monthly payments, what happens?
Well, if they really don't, all you have left is cash, no?
Right.
Some kind of discounted cash. Right?
So the point is that if you're asking for a cash price and then say what we do is we do monthly payments, we'll be able to pay you that price if you do monthly payments, and they say, no, I don't want to do monthly payments, then you're right into the deposit that they want, which is money now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a deposit, but it's money now. Right?
Yeah, so instead of a deposit, they want all of it, but it's still the money now.
So you need to get a discount. But the point is that these will take you through all those scripts that I spend months and months writing and all that stuff. This does it like naturally. You don't need a script. You just need to get through this.
Hey, one question though. When do you find out about if they'll take the monthly payments? Before you ask the four numbers, or after that?
Are you serious?
Yeah, because we used to do it before, and when you said the numbers, you didn't mention that today. Like when you do that, you just bring it up now toward the end.
It's number 2, the payment.
No, if you're going to take monthly payments or not monthly payments, like if he's willing to do it or not.
It's number 2, the payment.
Oh, so you ask him when you do that.
So you ask him the price.
Yeah.
And you say the way I just said it. So the way you transition it is okay for me to give you that price. I have to do monthly payments. Have you ever considered that?
Yeah, because we used to ask it in the very beginning if they'll take monthly payments and then do all the numbers later. So you're just doing it when you get to that point.
Because the market changed, and back then we could do that, but now everybody wants cash, so you got to talk about cash first.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So imagine in your mind how popular this deal. So you're gonna find the problem, then you're gonna go through the price, the payment, duration, deposit if they talk about it. Once you find that out and find out what the seller's willing to do, now they just made you an offer. Right? Mm-hmm. Now you have to imagine in your mind how popular this deal will be if you bring it to your buyers.
Yeah.
So is this like a really good deal and you'll have a lot of buyers, or is this a really bad deal and you got to go look for the needle in the haystack? How many people will want this deal? How many people will pay $200,000 for a $180,000 house? How many people will want to pay $1,800 for a $1,500 month payment? And how many people will want to do it for a year?
Yeah.
Not a good deal. But if you had a $200,000 house, right, and it's worth $200 and you paid $200, right, and on a slot deal, but your payment was $1,300 and you could sell it for $1,500 and you didn't need a lot of money down, how many people would want it? Because I'm going to tell you right now, most people are stuck on what you pay for a house, and what you pay for a house has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
What people want to know is how much down and how much a month. So if you concentrate on that, how much down and how much a month, when you're buying houses, and you keep them as low as possible so you have a lot of choices on how to sell this house, it becomes a popular house to sell because you have a lot of choices on how you're going to sell it. Right? So now you take what you think the market will bear or allow you, what the buyer will give you, right? And you put it up against what the seller wants. And that's deal structuring.
That was a game changer when you brought that up a while back, because us rookies are hearing what the seller wants. We're going, gee, can I do that? And not having your experience, which isn't hard to get. You just go figure it out. But you have to think of how you're selling it. Then you'll know the number in between. Is it close to what they want? You can figure that part out. And we weren't doing that. We were just like, how does Bill know how to do that? you have to look, well, you're buying it, you're selling it. Something in the middle is going to work. So that was really a game changer for a lot of us when you brought that up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just clarify this in a couple sentences, and then we're going to get out of here.
Yep.
You did a good job because you asked the 4 questions.
Yeah.
Price, payment, duration, and deposit if they talk about down payment if they talk about it. So you know what the seller wants. You know what the buyer wants to give you.
Mm-hmm.
So now the middle number is money now, money monthly, money later. Right? So if the seller wants this and the buyer's willing to pay that, where's my money now, my money monthly, and my money later?
Mm-hmm.
And you have a deal, and it doesn't matter. And my deal structures are just ways of getting the money now, money monthly, money later, because you know what the seller wants, you know what the buyer wants, and you're just putting them together and trying to be in the middle.
Yep.
Okay? So we're at 10 minutes past the hour. I went too long. In the chat or in the description or wherever you're listening to us or hearing us, there is a link with a form that does this for you. Just fill out the blanks, and it does exactly what I'm showing you for deal structuring.
Yep.
And I've never given it away before other than coaching clients. This is the first time I've ever given it away.
That's a good form. I have it on my desk. That's a good form.
Okay? Don't forget to subscribe to us. Don't forget to give us a review. Go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, top right-hand side. Leave us a testimonial. And I'm over and out for today. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for all the support. And if you have any questions, just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, go to the support tab, and I will answer those questions myself personally. Talk to you on episode number 310. Woo! Yeah. Have a good week, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.